I know everybody's up in arms about this. There are a lot of opinions about this, and it really comes to light in a game like this. Chase, what would you say? What is your opinion on the NFL overtime rules currently?
I think it's absolute trash.
You do not like it.
No, I do not like the rules of the overtime. You were explaining it to me a little bit, and it makes sense, I guess, like regular season to maybe do it this way, but that still could chap your whole season.
Yeah,
it could still. So I don't know, because you're saying the players kind of don't want to put their bodies on the line.
I tweeted this out, but there's a really simple explanation. People just straight up ask, why is NFL overtime like this? It does seem incredibly unfair. It seems super lopsided in favor of the team that gets the coin toss, because they choose to receive, they march down and score, the game is over, and the other team gets no rebuttal. And in the NCAA, you could literally play for an infinite amount of time. So people say, why would you even change this rule? The reason is in the NFL, there's an NFL Players Association, NFLPA. These are like, they think of like politicians. They're like lobbyists. This is the players lobbying for things that they want from the NFL, because the NFL is a true business. The NCAA is a business, but it's more like a slave business. And I know that sounds bad, but that's really what the NCAA is like. In the NCAA, you do not have a fucking say. You don't get to go lobby the NCAA. You don't get to tell the NCAA, this is what I want. NCAA says, you're going to do what the fuck we tell you, or you can get fucked. You can lose your scholarship. Okay, it's totally different in the NFL. So players in the NFL, they go to the NFLPA and they say, here's what we want for overtime rules. We want, in the regular season, we want a 10-minute overtime period. If it's tied after that, the game ends, because we do not want to keep playing. Because if I'm forced to play an extra 60 minutes of football and then I get injured and now my salary's gone, my career is gone, my kids, my house, my mortgage, all this is gone. So the NFL players go to the NFLPA. They say, we do not want endless overtime. We're not doing that NCAA shit anymore. Okay, if the game ends, the game ends. The least amount of football that we can play to get ourselves injured, the better. So sick. Right. That's what they say. So they say, okay, well, what about the postseason? Because a playoff game can't end in a tie. So in the postseason, they add 5 minutes. It's a 15-minute overtime period, and it cannot end in a tie. So it'll go on endlessly. But they keep in that rule about the first team who gets a touchdown just wins and it's over, because that's the best case scenario for ending the game as fast as humanly possible.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, I do not agree with this either. I think it's fucking whack. I think there should be something different. Absolutely something different. And I think a very good idea of what could be different is you do NCAA overtime, except you force 2-point conversions after the first touchdown. So you start at the 20, the opposing 20. You only have 20 yards to go.
Right.
So let's pretend it was Bills Chiefs. Chiefs win the toss. They start on the 20. They score a touchdown. They kick the PAT. Now the Bills get a chance to also score from the 20. They score the touchdown. They kick the PAT. Now both teams have done it. Now you go to a 2-point conversion. Now you just start on the 2-yard line and you go 2-point conversions. And fuck, if every team keeps getting 2-point conversions for 8 straight 2-point conversions, which is astronomically difficult, but it can happen, then maybe you implement a sudden death where the next team's score wins. Maybe you can do that. But even that is significantly more fair than what they have right now.
100%.
What they have right now, this is the craziest point that you can make about how unfair this shit is, okay? Let me show you this statistic. This is crazy. I actually put this in my notes like a true fucking journalist. What a good guy I am. This is from Ian Rappaport on Twitter.
It'd just be so easy. Why don't you just pick the right side of the coin? Like, it's just that simple.
The Bills, like, they're so mad. It's like, dude, Patrick Mahomes clearly just correctly picked what the coin was going to
pick the right side of the coin and you're good.
And if the Bills want to win this game, why didn't they just win?
Right?
Like, I don't get what everybody's all up in arms about. Like, oh, the Bills, the overtime. It's like, dude, just win the game.
It's exactly.
It's really simple.
It's just so tough because, like, in that scenario, we were at the bar and it's like, I mean, everyone's thinking it too. It's like, whoever wins this coin toss is going to win the game. So that's just saying your defense fucking blows? It's like...
in that scenario, it's saying your defense fucking sucks, because when the game's already 6 to 36, then your defenses do blow. But let's say this was San Fran versus Green Bay and they went into overtime 10-10. The coin toss is significantly less relevant there. The coin toss there is like, it doesn't even fucking matter. None of us can score.
That's it.
Check out these statistics right here. This is why it's fucked up, by the way. The current overtime scoring rules, not sudden death unless the team that gets the ball first scores a touchdown, were implemented in 2010 and in the 2010 playoffs and the 2012 regular season. Under the current overtime rules, there have been 163 overtime games, including the playoffs. Teams that won the overtime coin toss have a record of 86, 67, and 10 in those games. They won 52.8% of the games. So you look at that statistic and you say, okay, that's not that fucking lopsided.
Yeah.
They only won 52.8% of the games. If you're thinking of it from a 50-50 standpoint, it's only 2.8% more games. But then you look at that second statistic. Under the current overtime rules, there have been 11 in overtime playoff games. Teams that won the overtime coin toss have a record of 10-1 in those games. They've won 90.9% of the games. The only team to ever lose was the Saints in 2018 against the Rams, and that game, they got fucked by the refs. There has never been a game in history where someone has gotten so fucking bent over by the refs than the Saints did in that game. I'm sorry, Saints fans, to bring that up to you. But so really, what it should be, if the refs didn't slap their cock down on the table in that game, is 11-0.
Yeah.
And what this should tell you, at least this is what I take from the data, is number one, teams that go into overtime are not necessarily always good teams. So in the regular season, dog shit teams might go into the overtime because they can't score. And that is why your win percentage isn't that high in the regular season, because you have not so great teams playing each other. But once you get to the playoffs, which you don't get to the playoffs unless you have an elite offense or an elite team all around, maybe you could get to the playoffs with a fucking god tier defense and no offense, like the Steelers, okay? But in the long run, you're going to lose. What this is saying is once you get to the good teams, whoever gets the toss is going to fucking win.
Yeah, I guess
I mean,
so.
this is 90% of the time. I know it's not a massive sample size. You get 11 games here, but this is really should be 11-0. I like to think of this as 11-0.
Yeah.
And 7 of those 10 teams scored the sudden death TD on the opening drive, meaning 7 out of those 10 games, the other team basically got fucked over in the same way that the Bills got fucked over here. So, and I have seen some, analysts on Twitter who say, I like the overtime rules because if you don't like the overtime rules, then just don't go to overtime, which is basically like what we were joking about saying.
Right.
And I guess I agree, but why do the overtime rules have to be bad so that you avoid them? That I don't like that point.
Right.
Yeah. It's like when people say the prison system is bad. It's like, if you don't like the prison system, don't commit crimes. It's like, okay, I agree with you, but sometimes people commit crimes, so it doesn't mean that the whole system has to be fucked up.
Yeah.
So I think NFL overtime, I 1000% should believe should be tweaked.
100%.
And I guess I don't understand who disagrees with if it's the NFLPA saying it's player safety, they don't want to play as much football. Okay, start them at the 20. If you score, the other team gets a chance to also score, then go to 2-point conversions. At max, in most games, you're going to play even less than a real overtime period, because in a real overtime period, you got to march 75 yards down the field, potentially punt the ball.
Yeah, I mean, how many games of like this is it going to take for it to change? Are they going to change it? Because there's a lot of people up in arms about this.
Well,
right now.
this is just frustrating. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to sit there and look at the coin toss and go, oh my fucking God.
I couldn't imagine being an actual Bills fan. Oh my God.
We were depressed and we're not Bills fans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like even if I wanted the Chiefs to win, I would still like feel bad for the Bills. I'd still be like, wow, dude, that sucks.
Yes.
Like that is terrible.
Here's the question. Would you rather get blown out 70-0 or would you rather lose like this?
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
Would you rather be the Chargers or would you rather be the Bills?
I'd rather be the Bills. The Bills? Yeah. I just don't get how the fuck does the best defense in the league get shelled in 13 seconds?
Yes.
That's criminal. That's literally criminal. How do you get shelled in 13 seconds?
Yeah. I mean, that's just defense, right? I mean, that's where the defense has to step up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you see that happen, and then Josh Allen sitting on the sideline, they lose, or I don't know if he was out there for the coin toss. I think he was. And they lose the coin toss. He's probably got to just be like, well, we're fucked.
Well, he said that. He said in an interview, he said, we pretty much knew that whoever won the coin toss was going to win the game.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly there was
he
four
said,
touchdowns in the last 5 minutes of the game.
He said something about if they would have won the coin toss, they would be the ones celebrating.
They would be celebrating, yes, because the Chiefs were going nuts when they won the toss.
Right,
and you knew both teams were thinking the same thing, which is fuck, it's over. It was a great overtime drive, though.
Yeah, don't ever let a girl tell you that 13 seconds is too long.
I like that.
Tyler, we like that.
I like that. Next time I'm clapping, I'm going to nut in 13 seconds. She's going to go, oh my fucking God, you nut in 13 seconds? That was so fast. And I'll say, oh, really? Patrick Mahomes marched 50 yards down the field to secure a game-tying field goal from Harrison Butker with 13 seconds left. And you think that was too quick? I think there wasn't enough time on the clock. I think I should have gone for 10 seconds. I think I should have gone for 9. That's a good one. I'm definitely using that.
Because it happens all the time.
It does happen all the time. Just kidding. Suji said, Bills did not support the Chiefs' proposal to change OT rules in 2019 after MVP Mahomes didn't touch the ball and Mahomes beat number 1 secondary. Allen toasted 2 backup corners and no Matthew. Well, in fairness, Sushi, I agree with you that in 2019, the Chiefs were lobbying to get the overtime rules changed. It wasn't just that. That's kind of cherry picking to say the Bills did not support. Nobody supported the proposal. There was not a single team in the league, or really anybody, who supported the proposal. It didn't even go anywhere. It was like the Chiefs brought it up and everyone was like, shut the fuck up.
You think it'll change now?
No, absolutely not.
You don't think the rules are going to change?
There is no league more resistant to change than the NFL. There is no... this is why I always say, like, some of the owners, and you see so much, like, deep-rooted bad shit in the NFL. The NFL is gotta be the most resistant to change league in general. I always think of the comparison to the NBA and the NFL. Where the NBA, you get a lot more personalities out of the NBA. Whereas the NFL truly feels like an ownership thing a little bit more. Feels like the players are just pawns. I was thinking about like how many like just bum NBA players you could just recognize by face. And you like know them and they're like this big figure. And you know exactly what they talk like. You know how they sound. You know what they look like, right? How often do you see like an NFL player interview? And you're like, oh, that's what he looks like. Or, oh, that's what he sounds like.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you just realize that the NFL just has a really, I think they have a really archaic, old, resistant to change. They refuse to get with the new shit.
Right.
The new media. Like this, you got dudes on Twitter and TikTok and all this shit, and they're just completely oblivious to it. That's just a personal rant, but whatever. Either way, Bills, poop, wiener, fart, and overtime rules, lick my balls.